Right, the last part of this section deals with graphing, and then we're also going to state domain and range for the practice. So whenever we graph, we need to know our vertex, and then we're going to make a t-chart to get the other points that we would need. So since we're in the form of y equals, this is going to be vertical. We have a negative, so a reflection happens. So when we graph, we should expect it to open down. Okay. So again, if we make our t-chart, our vertex is going to be 2, 3. So again, H and K. So 2, 3. And then we are just picking points. So we want to make sure that we pick points on each side of our vertex. So I'm just going to add 1 to 2, so 3. And if I substitute that in, 3 minus 2 is 1. 1 squared is 1. And then it becomes a negative 1 from the negative on the outside. Negative 1 plus 3 is 2. And then if we choose 1, so again, I'm just subtracting 1 from that. 1 minus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is 1. Times the negative is negative 1. Plus 3 is 2. Okay. So, and I just require 3 points. Some people might require 5, so then you would just keep adding your numbers. So to graph, we're just going to plot those points. Okay, so we're going to go right 2 up 3. And then right 3 up 2, and right 1 up 2. And again, we're making a U shape that opens down. So now for the domain, that's going to be all real numbers. And the range is going to go from negative infinity, since it's opening down, to the y value of our vertex, so 3. All right, on problem 8, looking at that, so again, it's y equals, so that means it's vertical. The number in front of our square term is positive, so there's no reflection happens. So when we graph it, we should get a U shape that opens up. Now, to graph, we do need to know the vertex. So that means that we need to put this into vertex form, and we do that by completing the square. So we will have y equals x squared plus 6x. We're going to leave space to complete the square, and we're adding the first number, and then we are subtracting the second number. Okay, so again, to factor right away, so 6 divided by 2 is 3, so plus 3 inside, 3 squared is 9, so that's the number that goes here. So again, these first 3 terms that factored into that x plus 3 squared, and then we are combining the last 2. So that will combine to be a negative 13. So now that we have that, we're going to make our t-chart. Okay, so the vertex is negative 3, and I'm going to write that in the middle this time, negative 13. So again, we're just going to pick a number above and below that. So let's choose negative 2 and negative 4. So if we substitute negative 2 in, negative 2 plus 3 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 minus 13 is negative 12. And we'll get the same answer for the other one. All right, so now we're just going to graph that. All right, so I'm going to count to see how many spaces I have to decide if I need to count by 2s or not. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Okay, so that's my lowest number. So down 13 over 3. So here's the vertex. And then we're going to go left 2, down 12. And left 1, 2, 3, 4, down 12. And we're making a U shape opening up. Okay. So domain for this one, all reals. And the range is going to be from negative 13 to positive infinity. All right, on the next problem, this time it is in the form of x equals. So that means it's going to be horizontal. And since this is positive, it's going to open to the right. So the vertex, so this is already in vertex form. So since we don't have a set of parentheses and we don't have anything on the outside, that means that our vertex is 0, 0. So 0, 0. And we're picking y values this time. So when I pick my y value, when I square it, I want it to be divisible by 2. So if I pick 2 for my y value, 2 squared is 4, and then 4 times 1/2 is 2. And then if I choose negative 2, so negative 2 squared again is 4, times 1/2 is 2. Now we should just be able to graph this. And again, when we graph, we are expecting it to open to the right. So 2, 2, 0, 0, and then right 2, down 2. So again, a U shape opening to the right. Okay. So our domain, because it's only opening to the right, not to the left, it's going to go from 0 to positive infinity. And then the range is going to be all real numbers. All right, last problem. So again, looking at this, because it's in the form of x equals, it's going to be horizontal. This is positive, so again, this is going to open to the right when we graph it. And again, it needs to be in vertex form. So before we can graph, we need to complete the square on this. So again, since we have a number in front, we need to divide by that number. So we can either divide it over to the other side, or we can just factor it out. So I'm going to choose just to factor it. So we'd have 2 parentheses y squared minus 2y. Then I'm going to leave a little space to complete the square, plus 6. And then we're going to subtract that same number. Okay, so again, when we factor, we will have y, and then negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1, so squared. Negative 1 squared is 1, so that number goes here. So again, first 3 we factored to this, and then we are combining that 6 and negative 1 to get 5. And then because we factored at the beginning, we need to distribute that back in. So we are graphing the equation x equals 2, and then in parentheses y minus 1 squared, and then 2 times 5 is 10. All right, so again, because our x and y switched, so did our h and k. So this is h, this is k. So we would have 10 and then positive 1. And we're choosing y values this time. So I'm going to choose 0 and 2. So if we start with 2, 2 minus 1 is 1. 1 squared is 1. 1 times 2 is 2. And 2 plus 10 is 12. And then we would get the same answer with 0. So now we're ready to graph. All right, so we are going to go to the right 12. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 0. And then if I graph this one, it's going to be 12 up 2. And then we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, up 1. So this is our U shape. So again, our domain, because it's opening to the right, is going to go from the x value of our vertex, so 10, to positive infinity, and then our range is going to be all real numbers. And that's going to conclude section 2.